Alright, listen up everyone. They've announced that the technical regulations are changing for next season. Now there's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful, so let's figure out how to mitigate this. Drivers, take a look at the developments we have and let us know what you want to invest in protecting. Alright everyone, let's get on top of this.
So hello there and welcome back to this F1 2020 My Team Career Mode with the Minardi team brought back into F1. Round 13 of 16 at the Sochi Autodrome, located where the Olympic Park was for the Olympic Games held back in Russia several years ago, just on the coast of the Black Sea. You would have seen that at the beginning that Carl came into the debrief room, which is what this is, and said that the regulation changes are now into effect. So when we go to the R&D screen, are we going to be hit with good or bad news? So the workstation, looking at the weather, is going to be sunny to start off with in FP1 and FP2. I think it's going to be a bit overcast going forward. No sign of rain, which is good to see. So morning everyone, I've attached a preview for this weekend's Grand Prix. 12th in the Drivers' Championship, 8th in the Constructors. Weather forecast, yep, for qualifying, a little bit of sun's going to creep through. It's going to be a little bit overcast with some sunlight in the race. Retirement announcement. Right, who's retiring? Morning. Here's some interesting news from a paddock for you. Looks like Sebastian Vettel is going to be retiring from the sport soon. We'll keep you posted if we hear anything further. I had been worrying, and I had been talking to people out of this, friends and all that, basically saying, look, I'm sort of halfway through season, I'm sort of halfway through season 2 now. I've had no driver changes. I've had no teams coming for Nick De Vries, no one retiring. I've seen people out there in their career mode, they had people retiring and changing teams, halfway through season 1. But finally, we're going to get some driver movement going on. Now, I don't know if Vettel's going to retire at the end of this season or next season or whenever. And I'm surprised it's Vettel. I'd have expected Raikkonen to do it first, considering he's 40. There we go, finally we're going to get some driver movements in the markets, which will spice things up, see who takes that Ferrari seat. I will laugh if it's science like it's going to be in real life, but yeah, Vettel is going to be retiring. So high cash balance, we know all about that, that's fine. We're sort of saving up for the end of season push, really. So then, on to our rivalry. 0 races remaining, so I think this is the final weekend. So if we're going to beat Science, and it's going to be tough to do, we really need to out-qualify and out-race him. As for driver details, 71 points. We've had one podium, of course, at France, it was. Average finish of 12th, grid 16th, one fastest lap. Became closer to doing it a second time in Italy, missed out by a couple of attempts. Right, so R&D. So we'll click on this screen to see what's what. Okay, right. It's the durability and chassis department. That could be interesting. We're going to lose all of our durability upgrades because we can do nothing. This is all going to go, I think. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about it, and we now have to get all of these legalised. Some of these are going to cost quite a bit. 600 up here, 612, 562. I mean, yeah, okay, it's going to cost a bit. Chassis department as well. This is going to get a little bit pricey. This is what happens when a couple of departments. Ideally, I would have liked it just being aerodynamic. Fortunately, the powertrain's being left alone because we've done quite a lot of work over there this season. So yeah, the durability department as it stands was second best. Chassis department were the 10th best, so second worst if you like, but a long way ahead of Williams. Oh my god. Aerodynamic department were, what's that, the 8th best. That's fine for the moment. Powertrain department were the 3rd best. That's good. We've really focused on the powertrain department this season. So we've got currently stand at 4,000 resource points. That might be enough, I think, to get the chassis department done in one go. In fact, I'll be very surprised if it's not. And hopefully by the end of the season we can do the durability side of things as well. So upgrades on the car will now cease because we need to save as much as we can to get all this legalised for season 2, and then whatever we can accumulate from then on, we can have a bit of a pre-season push with trying to do as many upgrades as we can going into season 3. So R&D in progress, nothing to be done, of course. Progress history, right, coming into Russia then, nothing from Mercedes, a big push from Red Bull, a bigger push from Renault as well. They've now overtaken Ferrari. McLaren and AlphaTauri have had sizable upgrades. Ourselves and Racing Point have had a minor upgrade. So we're now pretty much level, but slightly ahead somehow. Nothing from Alfa Romeo, a sizable one from Haas, and again nothing from Williams. So they really are quite far behind. So the power units then, units number 4 will be used strictly for qualifying in a race. We'll leave units number 1 alone right now, and we can use pretty much units number 2 and 3 for the practice sessions. These still have enough life in them to hopefully set competitive lap times and get the resource programs done, which are now very crucial to try and claim as much resource points going into the end of the season. Practice gearbox 20%, but we are pending. I ordered a new one before the race in Italy, so it will be a brand new gearbox on the car. As for the event gearbox, we ordered a new one going into the race in Italy starting at the back. That's 4%. So these two, practice and event gearbox, will comfortably get us to the end of the season, as will our units as well. Weekend tyre allocation, gone for the balance set of things now, because I want to kind of save a set of softs and mediums going into the race if I can, and so therefore we can actually, you know, adapt our strategy on the fly if there's a VSC, a safety car, or in a crash, anything like that. As for standings, we remain in 12th place on 39 points. The team remains in 8th on 58. 12th and 8th by the end of the season, I think, will be very good for our second season. Season results you can see there. The podium at France, the 7th place at Austria, and then the smattering of lower level places we had at the beginning of the season as well. It's pretty much all we've had. We've now gone 3 races without a point. 11th at Silverstone, a retirement at Belgium, 14th at Italy. Hopefully we can get back inside the top 10 going into Russia. As for the trophies, the DNF red there, as you can see, for Belgium. But we do have a nice bronze little podium trophy there, which will sit in our trophy cabinet, probably somewhere in the world. I don't know where, from picking up the P3 at France. So we'll advance now into the practice sessions. I'll do all 3 off camera, of course. I'll give you an update at the end of FP3, hopefully with some good competitive news. So here we are then at the end of FP3. We're struggling this weekend, there's no other way to say it. We're off the pace of our teammate and we're sort of languishing down towards the bottom. We're not plumb last, but sort of a throwback to probably this time last season. We were sort of ahead of the Williams and the Haas cars. Managed to do all of the practice programs apart from the qualifying practice program, all in purple. We didn't even attempt the qualifying program, so we gained quite a few resource points, about 460, 470 resource points, and that's sort of the target I want to aim at, really. So FP3, you can see the times here: Bottas, Perez in 2nd, Verstappen, Leclerc, Ricciardo in 5th. Nick de Vries up in 10th, which shows promise for the second driver of our team. We scroll down here, completed 4 laps in FP3. Our best was a 34.7, 2.209 off the pace, a couple of attempts, 2.5 tenths ahead of Russell, and we've got Giovinazzi, Latifi, Grosjean on the medium tyres. So this isn't going to be a weekend where we're going to be qualifying sort of close to the top 10 like we have sort of flirted with in the last few races. This is going to be one that we'll probably struggle to get anything higher than 17th, but we'll certainly give it a go anyway, and of course all the points and prizes are handed out on race day. So 600 resource points for me, 253 from Nick de Vries, puts us up to 4865. That's a really good amount that we can now start to plug away at getting some of these upgrades redeveloped for the next season. Almost level 19 now with the team. We might be level 20 by the end of it. It'd be a bit of a struggle for us to get to level 15, because as soon as we do get to level 15, of course, we can get the rest of our driver perks in. Nick de Vries close to level 13. So back at the workstation before qualifying. Have a look at a message in from Sochi, from Jeff about Sochi. Mind your line through turn 3 if you want to be braking in a straight line for 4, so don't run too wide before that. Yeah, turn 3, as you can see on the track map on the right hand side, that big sort of well, it looks like a letter N, best way to describe it, towards the left hand side. That's turn 3. Nice corner it is as well, easy flat. Retirement announcement, we know already Sebastian Vettel is retiring at the end of the season. Weather forecast unchanged, qualifying overcast, but the sun is creeping through towards the end of it, and it'll be that way throughout the whole race as well. So nice and dry, which is what you want. No rivalry at the moment. We might get another one before the end of the season, but we are quite close now. Performance side of things, of course, we'll touch base with this after the at the end of the weekend, I should say, but we're still level with Racing Point, which is good. Right, so we'll make the change onto our best units that we'll use for qualifying in a race now towards the end of the season. Maybe we'll find a bit of a performance gain moving off of units that were around about the 40-50% range, moving on to units that are not even in the top 10, not even in 10% range. So I'm hoping anyway that that's the case. 5% on the practice gearbox, 4% on the event gearbox. One race weekend already completed. The weekend tyre allocation as well. You can see there we'll have a set of mediums going into qualifying, which we won't be using. So we'll advance into the qualifying session, and hopefully with the newer, better units on the car, we can pull away from the back of the field where we've sort of been this weekend, and hopefully challenge solidly inside the midfield. So about a minute and a half into the qualifying session, Nick De Vries was the first car out on circuit. A few others are going out there at the moment. So we've got 3 sets of soft tyres.
Let's get out on track while it's clear.
Yeah, we'll be doing that in a second. So car setup, draining the fuel out as much as we can. So aerodynamics 6.7. I was running 7.8 around here originally, but we was losing too much time in sector 1, where there was a couple of we're basically a big long straight with the main straight. So I've knocked it down to 6.7. Feels a little bit better. Transmission 65, which is a little high, but you can, you know, comfortably save tyres around here. Suspension geometry to the right and left for camber and toes. Suspension 7.6, 6.5, 4.5. Might knock that down to 3.4 because it's quite a flat circuit around here. Brakes 154, tyres, pressures all down by 1. So we might as well get out on circuit. Park thermo regulations, of course, into effect. Drive out of the garage. Tyre blankets disconnected from their heaters and then taken off the tyres. The monitor goes up, lifted down off of the jacks. Chief engineer backs out into the pit lane, holds me, points me in the direction I need to go. And here we are then at the Sochi Autodrome circuit, located close to the Black Sea, and also built on the Russian Winter Olympics. I think it was a Winter Olympics, or was it Summer Olympics? I'm not big on my Olympic history, but a few years ago, Russia held an Olympic event. It was all around this area, and that's where the Sochi Autodrome now sits, on the old Olympic Park, I should say. So we'll knock everything down a little bit. I've got a Haas behind me, so we'll just ease over to the right-hand side. This is the long turn 3 I mentioned before qualifying. It's easy flat, and then you kind of want to straighten up the car if you can around about here. Breaking the straight line for turn 4. And from here onwards, it's rights and lefts. It is a circuit that, to be honest, has no real character. It really doesn't. The walls are quite close, but the chances of hitting them in some areas are quite slim, to be honest. This corner here that I'm going through feels a little bit tighter than it used to in previous games. And this is a circuit where you really can abuse the curbs, and if you do abuse the curbs, you will find good lap time. This is a tricky corner. You want to be able to get on the power early. 2 DRS zones. This is one of them along the back straight. The detection point is just before the previous corner, and the second one is along the main straight. Detection point is just before the DRS zone as well. So yeah, most of the overtakes I think will be done not really here into this tight right left underneath the bridge, but probably down into turn 1, turn 2, through turns 3 and turn 4. This is a bit of a tricky off camber, slightly rising chicane as well. Makes the car very understeery and oversteery. And then finally, the final 2 corners. 2 right-handers. The first one's slightly faster than the second one. The exit is all important through here as well, because it takes you onto the start of the lap. The line is just there. Here we go then. First lap in qualifying at Russia. So first lap done. Puts us between Magnussen and Latifi. So we're still unfortunately a bit off the pace here. The lap itself felt okay. Sector 1 wasn't brilliant, but I could probably find a little bit of time in that. Lost probably a few tenths in the chicane as well that I mentioned before. The hot lap just went a little bit too deep in there, but the rest of sector 2, to be honest with you, felt pretty good. So we've got a couple of cars behind us now as we have a slow tour back to the pits. I was hoping to be a bit higher than that really. The lap felt decent, not brilliant, but certainly a good benchmark. So just over 3 minutes left of the session. Going to go out for one final run. You can see there, we're struggling. Latifi has just done a second lap. His session, I believe, will now be over really. He hasn't got enough time to, I don't think, to get out for a third. He's less than 100th away from putting us on the back row of the back spot of the grid. I thought it would be a bit more competitive. We're really struggling here. This is a surprise. I've obviously gone the wrong way on the setup. So what I have done, looking at the setup, then I've knocked the front wing from 6 down to 5, and the diff on throttle from 65 to 60, just to try and find something a bit better if I can. If I've gone the wrong way and we end up being, you know, a half a second slower than our first lap, then I know I maybe have to bump them up a little bit or go back to what I was and just live with it. But clearly I've gone the the wrong way on the setup. More cars are going out on the circuit at the moment, so we might as well do the same. Nick De Vries, I think, is about 14th, 15th, something like that, which is probably to be expected, I should say. But yeah, we're down in 21st and less than 100th away from being last. And yeah, disappointing this. Clearly I need to do more work around this circuit. So just coming up behind an Alfa Romeo. We have a last car as well, coming out of the pits. So yeah, this is a bit of an issue. I don't know where I've gone wrong in the setup. It could be one fundamental thing or one fundamental mistake I've done, or it could just be basically I've just completely gone the wrong way. I haven't felt comfortable around it all weekend, to be honest, but this is certainly the lowest that we've been in the pecking order. Of course, everyone does naturally improve going into qualifying, so it's disappointing. But you know, if it ends up being a poor race, then you know we'll put it away. We've got USA to look forward to, Mexico as well. We know we'll be strong there, or hopefully we'll still be strong there after our decent first season. And then Brazil to round a season off. I'm not writing the season off just yet. Still points to be had. But yeah, this is I think it's going to be a bit of a blip. So we've got no cars around us. This is the chicane where I made a mistake before, and I've even made the mistake there really on my outlap. But yeah, we'll turn everything up now. Max concentration needed. We need to find, I think, 4 tenths even to get up to P20. We'll give it our all. Here we go. That felt better. That felt better. Second up. The car felt better as well. P17. That's more respectable. Yep, felt like a good lap. You can abuse the curbs here a little bit, which I managed to do. And we managed to improve our sector, all 3 sector times, I should say, on that lap. So P17 is, yeah, basically, I think what I said before qualifying is sort of what I was aiming for. And if we've hit it, then that's good. So Bottas takes pole, just ahead of Hamilton. Just ahead of Verstappen. Hamilton in third, Ocon in fourth. Renault have looked quite good here this weekend. Leclerc in fifth. Same for McLaren. Norris and Sainz 6th and 7th. The second Renault of Ricciardo in 8th. Kvyat at its home race. Albon in 10th. Vettel then outside of the top 10 in P11. Maybe the retirement announcement and the recent driver update to make him a little bit weaker, because his real life performances have been, you know, shall we say, poor. He's down in 11th. Stroll in 12th. Gasly, Giovinazzi, Perez, Nick De Vries in 16th, just ahead of us by 2 tenths, to be honest. And then we've managed to get ahead of Grosjean fairly comfortably by just over 2 tenths. Raikkonen in 19th. Magnussen, Russell, and Latifi at the back of the grid. So yeah, we managed to get up to P17 in the end, but it was a good lap, very, very good lap, I felt. And yeah, that's pretty much, I think, where our performance is. So the team and claim after qualifying 28-24, 52% combined. So it'll go up a little bit for us, but level 19 now for the team, just one level away for the max level 20. So then you return to the workstation before the race. Got a message here from Jeff. Pre-race notes. The strategy for this race just like in the other. No, the start, lead out of turn 1, win by miles. Any questions? Yeah, that's not happening, mate. So 27 laps. Not too sure what the strategy is going to be. First time we've been at this circuit as well. But the tyre wear rates feel good around here. Yeah, so I'm not really sure. We'll just have to look at the race strategy screen once we get onto the grid. So I'll have a look at the build up then for the Russian Grand Prix at the Sochi Autodrome. There might be a few penalties out there. Now we're coming towards the end of the season, but if not, we'll be starting from P17 with quite a bit of work to do, I think, if we're going to score some points. So we'll go to the track and see if we can do it.
Welcome one and all to today's Grand Prix here in southern Russia. A beautiful location besides the Black Sea, and a race that has been dominated so far by the Silver Arrows. Mercedes have won here 6 times in a row since the first Sochi Grand Prix in 2014. Can someone else muscle in on that record here today? It's time to go racing then at the Sochi Autodrome, where the long run down to the heavy braking zone at turn 2 is one of 2 DRS zones around this 3.6 mile circuit. The other, of course, down into turn 13. 18 corners make up a lap here today, with an average speed somewhere in the region of 130 miles an hour. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Mercedes. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Ocon, Lando Norris, and Sainz, Ricciardo, Kvyat, Albon, and Sebastian Vettel, Stroll, Gasly, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Perez. Leclerc, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. De Vries, Lee, and Roman Grosjean, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Russell, and Nicholas Latifi. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
So there we go then. Looks like the only driver to have a penalty was Leclerc, who took a 5-place grid penalty. So everyone, or 10 people behind him, moved that one. You can see him just in front of me there, Nick De Vries over to the right. So the race strategy, softs onto mediums. Sounds about right. We completed the race strategy program as well, which is why the fuel mix there is a little bit off, I should say. Why is it not letting me go down? Hold on, come out of this, do that again. Why is it not letting me use less? I want to use less fuel, please, but it won't let me. I'm not going to start with. Oh, right, okay. Okay, so something's gone weird there. So we've got to start with 3 laps worth of extra fuel. That is just stupid. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Softs onto mediums. Looks like we'll be pretty much running rich mix throughout this race. That is dumb. It should let me choose it no matter what. Okay, whatever. We'll focus on the race. So, get the formation app on the go. Handful of cars behind us. Most are in front. Everyone around us starting on the soft tyres. In fact, I think everyone will be on the soft tyres. It'll be soft onto mediums. Question marks, though, will be over the... Oh, hello. Kicking to life. Thank you, car.
Our system checks are good. Need to stay in formation and start bringing the car up to temperature, please. Get some load into the tyres and work the brakes. We want them nice and warm by the end of the lap.
As Jeff tells me stuff I've already know. I've done a few races now, pal. Yeah, as I was saying, I don't know, a question mark could be about the top 10, or the top 9 now at least, with Leclerc's penalty starting on a new set of soft tyres. I might have to go softs onto hards, but I can see this, unless there's a safety car out there, pretty much being a soft onto medium race, which means it's going to come down to pure pace for us. And starting with 3 laps worth of extra fuel through no fault of my own. I don't know why the game's decided to do that. Is not ideal, because it does make you slower.
Weather is looking good for now.
You know, where you can burn fuel, that fuel is running rich mix for a majority of the race, which we'll pretty much have to be doing, but of course it adds extra tyre wear and adds extra engine life as well. So behind our teammate in P16. Maybe he can claim a few extra positions. I think we'll sort of be okay from some of the guys behind us at least, but the last thing we want to do is fall behind the likes of Grosjean and Raikkonen at the start and then lose a couple of laps trying to get through them. DRS is not all that powerful around it. You don't need a slipstream as well because there's so many directional changes and so many corners. It's going to be, I think, a challenging 27 laps. Target, of course, the first one is always to finish. We've done pretty well so far, just one retirement so far. At Belgium. Secondary objective, score points. I think we're going to need quite a bit of luck if we're going to find ourselves crossing the line at the end inside the top 10. The AI takes control now, fairly early for us. And we'll line up in P17. It'll be an impressive run down to the first corner. There'll be cars going everywhere, 2, 3, maybe even 4 wide. So turn 1 and turn 2 is a bit of a danger zone, certainly at the start. So we've got to try and keep our nose clean. Safely through the first couple of corners, got a warning, didn't feel anything. Oh, Raikkonen's just dive bombed me from nowhere. Fuck off, Magnussen. Do we have any damage? Is going to be the crucial thing. No, we don't. Losing positions here. A lot of fuel on board, not ideal. Let's let one completed then. We really are going to find the going tough from here.
DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
So DRS is now being enabled. We can use it straight away because the detection point is after the start finish line. Up behind a handful of cars here. We've got Magnussen close behind as well. We're dropping the 2 Williamses. This is to be expected, but we're not really making any inroads here in these early laps. This is going to be a tough afternoon, I think.
We're slowly gaining on the car in front. Try to keep this momentum.
I'm trying my best, Jeff. We're struggling though. Lap 6 now. Nothing's changed. Burning through the fuel nicely at least. But this is going to be a difficult race. This definitely could do this off on mediums, by the way. I've checked the tyre wear, it's like 18%. And we're halfway through the stint, so definitely fine on that. But yeah, this is going to be quite frustrating. We can't make our way through either past Grosjean because he's getting DRS off of Raikkonen and in turn getting DRS off of everyone else. And we've clipped the back of Grosjean, so that's absolutely fantastic. This race is turning into a nightmare. Well, we can put this race into the F column. F for fail or F for fuck off, either one you want. Okay, so coming in now. Selected the hard tyres. Well, I hope I've selected the hard tyres. We'll bolt them on. We'll pound round. There's a possibility we might be able to catch them past the Williams cars, but unless there's a safety car to drag us back into the action, this race is done. We're going to get nothing out of this. And Russia can just fuck off. Setting down into turn 1. On the hard tyres now for 20 laps. The final 20 laps at least. All we can do now is pray for a miracle. This could be a very boring highlight package. So into lap 11. Nick De Vries is about 40 seconds ahead of us. No one's made a stop yet. We're slowly creeping in on Russell, Grosjean and Latifi. About a second a lap. But I'm sure that once they pit, we'll probably be right with them. And they'll be on the medium tyres. So we could have a bit of battling after the pit stops are done. But this is, unless the safety car comes out to bunch the field up, this is going to be a race predominantly run at the back. Disappointing. But, you know, I'd rather, if I'm going to pick up damage and have a front wing change and go on a different strategy, I'd rather do it at a track where I'm not competitive. And let's say Austria, for example, that would have been devastating if we were running inside, comfortably inside the top 10. And we picked up damage. So it's damage limitation, I think, is what this race is now. It's all about just getting to the end, really. So Grosjean and Russell are in the pits, as well as a few others. We've jumped Grosjean. For whatever reason, he's had a slow slot. Russell has come out just in front of us there on the medium tyres as well. So it's going to be a bit of a battle now to try and catch and pass Miss Williams. Now he's on better, fresher, quicker tyres. All we can do is keep pushing and hope for a miracle. Oh, we've got a yellow flag up ahead. Meanwhile, Latifi has pitted and we've rejoined nicely ahead of him. I think it's Perez going slowly. Somewhere around this corner. There he is, just pulling off to the right hand side.
Okay, clear.
Safety car would have been nice, but yeah, we'll carry on here.
Caution, caution.
Oh, coming to you in lap 15, another yellow flag.
Come off ahead of you. There's a yellow flag ahead.
It's Leclerc, he's out of the race, so we're up to P18 now. We are pushing a little bit as much as we can. Probably trading sector times with George Russell, to be honest, but we seem to be creeping up to Magnussen ahead by about half a second a lap. Probably run out of time before we can do anything. And again, I'm just sort of hoping for a safety car here. Probably not going to get one. It's 2 retirements and we haven't even had a virtual safety car. Pulling away from Latifi and Grosjean behind. So we'll try and put a bit of pressure on Russell ahead, as we both seem to be catching Magnussen. Might have a bit of battling before the end. Okay, lap 18 and 27 we're now in DRS range of George Russell, still catching Magnussen ahead. Won't be able to do it this lap. Just pushing for you all we can now in these hard tyres, which are at a disadvantage compared to all the mediums. Try and gain a position or two before the end.
You're increasing the gap on the car behind by 0.5 per lap.
And you can hear there from Jeff, we're pulling away from Grosjean and Latifi, so it's all eyes forward now. Oh, bit messy. Managed to get it stuck though. Right, we should be able to keep Russell behind us now, hopefully. So into and out of the final corner to start lap 21, 7 to go. We've dropped Russell quite nicely, 3 seconds now. And we're 2.5 behind Magnussen. I'm pretty sure we will catch him. We've got plenty of ERS as well to burn through. So P16 is on here. Alright, just set our personal best by 2.5 attempts. Lap 25 of 27, 3 to go. We're now in DRS range of Magnussen. Got plenty of ERS, as you can see, for one big stab up the inside, probably down into turn 3. Might save it for the final lap. The dirty air that you pick up following a carvo really is evident. Catching is easy, and then trying to stay with him is difficult. You never know, might make a mistake. Keep the pressure on. Bastard.
There's only one lap of fuel remaining.
Oh, side by side through turn 3. All this for P16. This is a better chance now. Get the brake in right. We'll be able to see off Magnussen now. That'll be P16 then. Not brilliant. But a slight recovery nonetheless. So halfway around the final lap now. Got plenty of ERS. I'm in lean fuel mix just to save a little bit. Magnussen's just about a second behind, but we've got plenty of ERS to defend from him. And it'll be a P16 over the line. Managed to catch and pass Russell and Magnussen there on the hard tyres, but the Haas and Williams cars are certainly a lot slower than us. It's a disappointing race, disappointing weekend overall, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, I won't look back at Russia with any fond memories. Just struggled around it all weekend. I'm just glad this nightmare is over, but it is a finish. And it's a P16 as well. So Bottas wins the race and claims a point for the fastest lap as well. Hamilton in second, his championship charge is now completely over. Ricciardo then in third place from seventh. Renault really showing good form here. He beats Verstappen to the final podium spot. Ocon as well in fifth, Albon in sixth, and it's Noise, Kvyat. Vettel could only manage ninth. He was second in the championship, so he's lost a lot of ground to Bottas. So Bottas is now really in prime position to win his first title. And Gasly picks up the final point in 10th. Outside of it was Sainz from 6th down to 11th. Stroll, Nick de Vries in 13th. Raikkonen and Giovinazzi for the two Alfa Romeos in 14th and 15th. We was in 16th place in the end, just beating Magnussen at the end, finishing comfortably ahead of Russell, Grosjean and Latifi. Leclerc and Perez retired sort of around about mid-race, a little bit later than that. Not too sure the reasons for their retirement, but no safety cars or anything like that, which is a bit disappointing. So in the standings then, Bottas has a 43-point lead over Vettel, 80 points over Hamilton, 3 races left. Even taking into account the win and the fastest lap point, Hamilton can now mathematically not win the title. So it's a 2-horse race between Bottas and Vettel. Leclerc in 4th, Verstappen in 5th, Ricciardo and Ocon 6th and 7th for Renault, Norris, Stroll and Kvyat round out the top 10. We drop down behind Albon. Finally, Alexander Albon in the Red Bull has managed to pass us in the Minardi. We drop down into 13th. No other movers. In the constructors, no change there. Mercedes have an 80-point lead over Ferrari. Red Bull and Renault very close together in 3rd and 4th. Same for Racing Point, AlphaTauri as well. McLaren still picking up consistent points. They may be able to challenge for a top 5 or 6 by the end of the season. They're now 18 points clear of us. We're pretty much locked in now to P8. Alfa Romeo, Williams and Haas definitely not going to catch us before the end of the season. And it's going to take a lot of luck if we're going to be up with AlphaTauri and McLaren by the end of this year. So 8th place, I think it'll be again an 8th place for us. Not bad really. So the rivalry breakdown, Sainz comfortably beat us in that race. Yes, new rivalry, Carlos Sainz I've chosen. Again, I believe I've chosen Carlos Sainz, so not off to a good start. 4 races remaining, he's already beating us 4-2. Team acclaim 28, 24, 52. Seems to be the going rate these days. And finally the cash, 5 laps short of completing the sponsor objective for Satellite. The other 2 came in 606 grand. Damage deductions of both myself and Nick de Vries. So not the best profit margins, but still another 600 odd thousand dollars. So back at the headquarters, we got I think about 3.5 weeks, something like that, before we go to round 14 and 16, the United States Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas. So we can certainly get a lot done here. Weekly resources and running costs. We can do some activities as well. We've also obviously got to look at the facilities at some point. I'll probably be putting one of these up to Spec 2 at the end of the season once we get all our bonuses involved. No R&D in progress obviously, but we do have the chassis and the durability departments to get all nice and upgraded. So as you can see there, we get weekly resources and running costs. We'll have 3 lots of them before the United States Grand Prix. So I'm not going to do any legalisation of the units, I should say, until just before the US Grand Prix, because obviously we gain extra resource points. Hopefully we can get pretty much them all done in one hit. So we'll have a look at the activities anyway, see if there's anything here that we can do for the second driver, or Nick DeVries I should say. Not really. Title sponsor, venue opening, and improve my claim quite nicely, so we might as well do that. After the invitational event, we can do an attend F1 esports event. Might as well do that. This will improve my claim. If we can get it to level 15 before the end of the season, I can get all the other perks done for myself. Aero team building, sponsor event fundraiser, cost $5,000, improves the team acclaim by 200. Might as well do that as well. The other ones are chassis department focuses, upgrades. Well, we get extra resource points there for that, don't we? So we might as well do a chassis department focus and a chassis equipment upgrade. It doesn't really matter too much, but we get an extra little bit of resource points for that. Maybe an aero team building. What's that going to do? Nothing much, really, to be honest. Yeah. Okay, right. So we'll advance the time. We've got the air filter coming in. That must be, I assume, that is the one of the powertrain upgrades that is to be expected. Yeah, a minor upgrade there coming in from Mercedes. So we will have a little bit of an upgrade going onto the car, which is quite nice. So, yeah, we'll advance the time now. So the air filter comes onto the car. The title sponsor venue opening increases our team acclaim by 400, which is nice. Yep, cool. Well, we've got an invitational event. I'm going to skip all these. I'm not really interested in doing these. Yes, we get money for it and it increases my acclaim, but I don't really care for them. So we'll just advance as normal. Weekly resources, 360 resource points we get for that. Attend esports event. Sponsor event fundraiser as well, that's nice for the team. Weekly resources and running costs, chassis department focus and chassis equipment upgrades. So more resource points, over 6,000 now. And then we'll stop advancing just here. 6,425 resource points. We have almost 20 million in the bank as well. So now we can look at the R&D screen. Right, we'll go straight up to durability. So we'll smash these out so we can adapt this part. Yep, this is all good. We're down to now 4,500, so that's good. We'll definitely be able to do the whole durability department in one hit. 3 miners left. We'll probably leave us with about 2,000. Cool. So the durability is now all legalised for season number 2. We might as well get the free. We might as well do all the little miners over here for the chassis department. Cool. This is all looking very nice. Definitely got enough money for all of this. And this one as well. And we have enough money to do this. 562. 304 left. We need something like 1,100 resource points to finally complete the final 2 upgrades. We'll definitely get that before the end of the season. So rest assured, we won't lose any performance going into season 3. I reckon some teams will lose performance, so that'll be good as well. And pretty much after, I think, USA, we'll have Mexico and Brazil left, at which point we can start to save resource points, obviously with the weekly running costs and everything else that's coming in there. So I'm not too sure what we'll end up with at the end of the season, but it would be nice if we could do a couple of upgrades. I'm looking sort of over at the powertrain, to be honest with you. If we can get both of these majors and a minor done, it's going to cost, I think, around about 3,300 resource points. It'll be a stretch if we can get them all done, but certainly get the 2 major upgrades done. And then we can probably leave the powertrain department for season 3 and think about either chassis or aerodynamic, because until we do spec 2 on the powertrain, we've only got 3 upgrades left to do. So yeah, that's very, very good. Happy with all of that. As for vehicle, all the units, of course, I'll touch on these going into FP1 at the next episode. Corporate side of things as well. Sponsors are starting to run out a little bit, but I'm sure we'll get things sorted out going into the new season. So we'll advance the time again. before the United States Grand Prix. We can go to the tyre allocation, select a balance setup, and that is everything all nicely set up. So as the episode for itself for Russia, very, very disappointing. Off the pace all weekend, had no idea why. Maybe I just particularly don't like the circuit, but I've got a sneaky suspicion I just went completely the wrong way on setup. However, the month break between Russia and USA has enabled us to generate loads of resource points, get a little minor upgrade done on the powertrain department thanks to Mercedes, and get pretty much everything done legalised for season number 2. So we definitely will be able to get them 2 done, probably after this race weekend. Then we can save all our resource points, as many as possible, to try and get those 3 things done on the powertrain department. USA up next. P7 we finished in season 1. Thanks to a lucky safety car and some weather changes as well. I don't know if we'll be this lucky this time around. It'll be another circuit I'm expecting to struggle at, but at this point in time it's pretty much, you know, there's nothing really to go for now. It's just a case of just trying to get to the end, maybe picking up a sneaky point or 2 and generating as much resource points as we can for an off-season push. So thank you very much for watching this episode, and I'll see you all for the next one.